All right, everybody, thanks for joining us once again, where today my very special guest is Karolina. And what I'm going to do is stop talking immediately and get her to start talking immediately because it's quite a story and, we want to hear it. So, Karolina, tell us all about you.
Thank you so much for having me on your channel. It's a real pleasure to be your guest. Yeah, so my story is a little complicated and pretty tough because since I was born, I was having a severe eczema all my whole body. So I was trying to get my treatment. My parents spent lots of money to try to find a solution for my skin. However, nothing worked. And the eczema was so bad that I was scratching almost all the time. I didn't have normal nights. It was like a horrible dream that I couldn't sleep. Moreover, I was a sport woman. I was competing in dance. I was I was a real gymnast at first. So my sports were like the main part of my life. However, because of my eczema and we were trying to do everything with my skin, I tried steroids. I went to dermatologists. Nothing helped me. That's why I tried to find a solution myself. So the treatment started actually from, unfortunately, the vegan diet, because the dietitians told me that meat was causing the inflammation over my whole body. They tested on food intolerance, and the food intolerance test told me that the meat was causing the huge eczema over my whole body. Right now, I know that the tests are not reliable at all. And actually, every laboratory can show a different result. And that's a pity thing. However, I trusted them and I went into the vegetarian and the vegan diet. It was like mixed. At first, I was feeling, energized. I felt the difference. But I know from now that it was like a healthy user bias. And it lasted for maybe 3-4 months. But nobody could help me, so I continued with that because the whole mainstream was like, yeah, that's the way to go. This is very proper human diet for you. You shouldn't eat meat. You shouldn't eat dairy. You shouldn't eat animals at all. So I stuck with that diet. And after 8-10 years, I was like, my God, it's not working. And I needed to commit to myself and confess that, Karolina, it's not working at all. Do something about this. Because I couldn't find the solution, I started studying nutrition science. At first in Poland, I studied human nutrition and food evaluation, still being kind of vegetarian. But then later on, when I went for Erasmus to Sweden, I started studying more about food science, food chemistry, food analysis. And I had a lot of time because Swedish system is very nice. And I had a lot of time also to explore the internet, explore your videos, other people's videos. And I decided okay, so you're not eating things that can recover your skin. You're not eating vitamin soluble, right, things. You're not eating collagen. You're not eating really important nutrients that can actually reverse your eczema. And at the time, I was also struggling with acne. So I had eczema over my whole body. And then after a while, I was starting having huge acne, not only on my forehead, on my skin, but also on my chest and then the back. I was very tired and I didn't see hope. It was really horrible that nobody could help you. You spent so much money on the treatments, on the creams, but nothing really worked. Then I started watching some YouTube, and I discovered that maybe the keto diet could help me. And the keto diet was a good start to the whole process of my healing. However, I was lacking a lot of things in the keto diet, and it didn't reverse my eczema. So at the time, my diet was mainly eggs, fish, because I was still scared of meat. And then lots of vegetables. You maybe know what channel I watched at the beginning. Lots of vegetables, like 10, 12 cups a day.
Yeah, that guy. Mm-hmm.
Mixed smoothies. So I was loading myself with spinach for the electrolytes, with kale and other things. So the keto diet was full of vegetables and other plants, but I was having like bloated stomach almost all the time. Okay, my skin was getting a little better, my energy increased, but I still had like, oh my God, like going to the bathroom was a horrible thing. And I was thinking, okay, is it supposed to look like that? And the people said, yeah, if you're going to ferment all the fiber, right? The fiber is good for you, then you will have such symptoms. And I started my journey with the fiber. I was ordering things with prebiotic fiber. Then I even wrote my bachelor thesis about the fiber and prebiotic bacteria that could like recover your stomach. But it didn't help at all. I was feeling just horrible in my intestine. And then I was like, okay, maybe that's the moment where I try the carnivore diet. I was very scared because, as you can imagine, in my university nutrition course, almost everyone was on the vegan diet. And I was feeling like, okay, I will be the only one then, but my health is the priority in here. And I will try to do it. And it was not easy because when I started my master program on nutrition science, when we had the introduction day, everyone was having like the vegan salad, and they didn't even like provide for people who are eating everything. But I was trying to stay positive because I think through the calmness of yourself and through the positive attitude, you can actually show people what's working. So I stayed with that attitude, and I didn't have any salad. I didn't have any fika. In Sweden, we say that it's a cake and a coffee. Because I was like, I don't eat sugar. I don't eat sugar. I don't eat fiber. I don't eat plants. Because now I believe that the proper human diet works perfectly when we look at the digestion, when we look at the pH of our stomach, when we look at how we are built, the anatomy, how we compare ourselves with other mammals. And everything for me made finally a lot of sense. So I started the carnivore diet nearly 2 years ago. And here I am without acne, without my eczema. And it's like a real life. I can't believe it actually worked. It wasn't easy because the switch from the vegetarian diet or vegan diet to carnivore was tough, especially for my mind, because everything that I was told before was wrong. But my health is the priority in here, and now I can share the story with other people. I'm a nutritionist. I will have my graduation soon, and I'm happy to tell people that there is a chance for autoimmune disease, for metabolic diseases, and it's pretty easy. But you need to trust your biology, biochemistry, and I think this is what's lacking in the university, the basics of biochemistry. And this is what you have on your channel. That's why I'm studying with you.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about your master's dissertation, the topic that you did your research on for that, because that was quite interesting too.
Yeah, so I think it will be maybe the first master thesis about the carnivore diet. Now I'm collaborating with a Swedish MD, Peter Martin, and he has a functional medicine clinic in Stockholm, but also in Gothenburg. And he's treating his patients also with the carnivore diet. He did a study that is not published yet. It's a case study on SIBO. He treated 6 patients, 6 women actually, with SIBO disease. And after 6 weeks, they were free from the symptoms. So I think it's a huge achievement, and I hope this study will be published pretty soon. Yeah, and now I will be researching the topic on the carnivore diet and how it's working on his patients. So it will be a study from retrospective data. And I will be also evaluating carnivore diet, looking at physiology, our digestion tract, the anatomy. I will compare the human digestive tract to other mammals. I will see the data, how the humans evolved to eat, also from Mickey Bendor data. I will also examine anti-nutrients in the plant kingdom. I will talk about lectins, oxalates, and many others anti-nutrients. I will touch upon bioavailability because it's also very important. And I hope the evaluation of animal-based food will be also included in the thesis. So that's actually the background of the thesis, but the main part will be examination of these patients.
A good scent, I must say.
I am very happy too. I can't wait to be finished with that.
Good.
And to publish it as well.
Right. So not only are you involved in the research, in academia, in gathering up higher degrees and all that kind of stuff, but you're also very active yourself as a social media influencer, although, alas, it seems not very much in English. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I started my Instagram channel like a year ago. I was thinking to tell people how we are supposed to eat. So at the beginning, it was a lot of hate from my maybe university fellows, but then I got rid of them, kind of.
Ban,
and I
block, unfriends. Yeah.
Unfriends. I will talk the truth about how we are supposed to eat and how we are designed to eat, because it's not that complicated. It's just the mainstream that talks about different things. I started the Instagram at the beginning. It was mainly about keto diet, and then because I was turning carnivore, it became more carnivore. I'm feeling the best in Polish. However, I'm studying in English. So maybe in the future I could do both languages, but it's so much work. So I don't know. But in Poland, I'm the main person representing the carnivore diet, and I'm happy about that. So last week I was attending a conference in Wrocław in Poland, and I also met Dr. Ken Berry and Dr. David Unwin with his amazing wife. So it was like a beautiful conference on low carb, keto, and carnivore diet. I'm very active on social media. However, I will be more when I'm done with my thesis, because this is taking lots of my personal time as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And just in and amongst all of that, you were alluded to also quite some history with dance and being involved in that at also a ridiculously high level of participation and skill level and stuff. Tell us about that.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for touching upon it. So I started from rhythmic gymnastics when I was very young. I was training, very hard training with Russian coaches. But then later on, I realized that maybe my dream about Olympics is a little, I don't know. In Poland, it's hard to train rhythmic gymnastics. You should go to Russia, for example, to compete with them. But my whole family was involved in dancing. My parents met through dancing. So I was in that kind of environment. And then my mom told me that maybe I could try dancing. So I started doing that. It was modern, contemporary dance. I was pretty talented in dance. So I was competing. I won 3 times world champions. So it was a huge part of my life. However, due to my problems with the skin, I couldn't continue that. I went to the Ballet Academy University, also in Sweden, for 2 years. But, my condition was so bad, I couldn't recover during the night. I was eating a bad diet. A diet was mainly consists of vegetables and no proteins that I could build my form. You're working with so much, you're working a lot with the sport, so you know what I'm talking about. I was so tired all the time. Then I was like, okay, maybe dance was a huge part of my life. I was competing worldwide, but then it's maybe the time for something else. I felt like maybe dancing is not supposed to be my future profession. That's why I started studying nutrition.
Okay. And have you yet had any serious, I mean, I know you've got some hate from your classmates and all of that kind of stuff, but did you actually cop any serious pushback from the institutions about the way you wanted to take your studies, or that you wanted to look into the carnivore diet? Was there any pushback there?
Maybe some of them are listening to me right now, so
Maybe.
I'm saying hi. So I was having a course that was called Clinical Nutrition, about fifth stage of chronic kidney disease. And I was having my presentation about how we could help the patient. And I prepared the presentation based on low-carb diet, still with vegetables, still with fiber. And after this presentation, the professor, she started screaming at me as she said that I am a danger to the society. And if I don't change my work, then she will not pass the course for me. So I was like, okay, attacking, like nobody helped me, even my class, everyone stayed quiet. And I said that giving to the patient lots of starch, including potatoes, 5 times a day, it's not the way to treat the chronic kidney disease. If you're saying about high blood glucose, about hypertension, like how do you want them to eat starch? It's just sugar molecule. Look at the molecules. And then she said I was wrong, and she's been having this kind of treatment for so many years. And now I need to listen to that and adjust my plan of nutrition to their requirements. And unfortunately, I needed to change everything. And I passed because I changed. But I disagree with that approach. And I will never use starch to treat chronic kidney disease. What's your take on that?
Incredible, isn't it, everybody? That a so-called centre of higher learning, which is supposed to be all about asking questions, says, so long as the questions you are asking are approved and we give you the approved answers to those questions, that is how you may think and express yourself here. Wow. Okay. So, yes.
So that was one situation.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to find a professor for my master thesis to be my supervisor, but I couldn't find a great product at my university that could connect to keto diet or carnivore diet. And then I was listening to a podcast with Judy Cho, and she had this doctor over who talked about SIBO, Peter Martin. And he did a study that I talked about on carnivore diet and SIBO treatment. And I didn't know he was from Sweden. I sent him a message on LinkedIn, and he invited me on the same day to his clinic. And he was like, okay, I will be your supervisor. We could do this thesis together, because if it works out, we can go with the thesis worldwide, because nobody talks about this. But the main issue was if my university approves the product proposal. Thankfully, they did. And they even said, interesting. We're curious about your results. So at the end of March,
you get that that's code language, don't you? That's very much cloak and dagger stuff, like, yeah, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. And my presentation will be at the end of March. I will be presenting, I think, with my one friend. I am a little scared, but I know that I'm here to do my mission, to do a little revolution with this world about nutrition, and to show people how you're supposed to eat, because it's so easy again. Like, look at the physiology of human body. Look at the isotopes, like you talked about, right? We know how we ate at the past. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
That's the plan.
Good. Well, I'm not surprised to hear that academia hasn't improved since I departed those shores. It does disappoint me. It's very, very sad to me that those in academia could possibly behave that way and have those kind of biases and closed-mindedness to things. I'm not sure what the positive that comes out of all of it is, except that people like you are in the world, Karolina, and you are able to tell your story. You are able to share what you believe to be true on the basis of your particular N=1, etc. Your personal story is one of those things that people need to hear.
See the picture on my Instagram. I was covered with eczema. Okay, so it's a really good direction to go with the carnivore diet. However, you need to adjust the carnivore diet to yourself and not do it like from dogmas.
Yeah.
And that's my main point.
Excellent. Give us the IG address. What's your address on IG?
It's Foodcoach.KarolinaBarton.
Right, and Karolina is with a K, isn't it?
With K, with K. Foodcoach.KarolinaBarton. I have one thing to say, if you let me, about eczema and the very interesting test result that I got recently. On the conference, I had a presentation about my study case on the atopic skin. And 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with histamine intolerance. So my DAO, the enzyme that breaks down histamine, was very low. It was 3.7. And since then, I started the keto diet and then carnivore diet because I was thinking I could have the leaky gut. I wasn't tested on leaky gut, but from the symptoms, I could assume that my gut was in a poor condition. So 2 weeks ago, I tested again on the enzyme DAO. Now my digestion is like excellent, couldn't be better. No farting, no nothing. And I got the result, and I was I was hoping to show the people that my DAO is very high right now, that I improved the intestinal lining and it's beautiful. However, I got the test result, and guess what? The DAO was even lower than at the beginning of the treatment. And now I question that. How reliable the tests are? Maybe you can tell us more about this, if I can ask you.
Yeah, my understanding of such things is exactly that. And it is that when you place a threshold value on some physiological variable and say, above this, normal, below here, too low, above here, too high, you're making everything too granular because there are very individual responses to all sorts of things at all sorts of times for all sorts of reasons. It's one of those signal to noise ratio issues where it's very, very difficult to predict what goes on going forward on the basis of what a reading might be right now. What I normally say to my clients when we're doing consultancies that would say something like what you've just said to me, I would generally say to them, well, listen, tell me what symptomology you are experiencing on a day-by-day basis that would lead you to believe that there was any problem with your gut now. You've just told me before I even asked the question. You've told me your gut function is perfect. Well, I wouldn't worry about the lab reading then.
Exactly. Natasha Campbell-McBride, probably you know her as well. She says, don't treat the blood results, treat the patient.
Yeah.
And I'm also supporting that kind of approach because sometimes the person is feeling amazing, right? But the blood results are completely different. And what? Should I change the diet to treat my blood results?
No. No, of course not. Of course not. Unless, of course, you're one of these people who believes in the lipid hypothesis, in which case you're probably in the wrong place. You're probably not watching the right channel right now if you're one of those people. We've dealt with that one thoroughly here. We'll keep doing it, though, won't we? Right, so we've dealt with the academic side of things. We've dealt with the dancing. We've dealt with the skin condition. We've dealt with the change to carnivore, how that went for you, the results of it, how everything's going now. We've delved into lab results even. How would you like to finish off?
Yeah, I would like to say that people who are interested in nutrition, they should study biochemistry and physiology and actually see that the real human diet that is healthy and that is working as something that can protect us from chronic diseases or even autoimmune diseases, it's not so complicated. Okay? And I think if you're addicted to sugar, if you're addicted to carbohydrates, just try to eat real food, especially meat. Because if you start eating meat, if you start eating eggs, then the addiction goes away and you can break free. I was also addicted. When I was on vegetarian diet, I couldn't stop eating. I was snacking all the time. I put on weight. I was unhappy. My digestion was horrible. So just give yourself a chance, because it's a life-changer decision that you can make. And I hope more and more people will get the awareness of the carnivore diet or even keto diet at the beginning, okay, and then switch. But for me, vegetables didn't work. I'm not going to make the introduction again of vegetables. I eat some berries only during the summer, but I'm not supporting the idea of eating animal products and adding fruits, also because of the glycation and the Randall cycle that you talk about.
Hear that, Paul Saladino? Listen to this woman. She knows what she's talking about. Good stuff. All right, listen, Karolina, I want to thank you very much for your valuable time. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, to get your story, to get your perspective, to get your experiences, what you've been put through, not just by the skin condition, but also by academia, something with which I have quite some degree of sympathy, as I'm sure most people would understand. Again, the IG address for Karolina is up on the screen, so absolutely, under no circumstances should everybody race off over there immediately and subscribe to Karolina's IG and follow her Polish doings, whatever she's saying over there. I don't even know what she's saying. I don't speak Polish. I just have to believe that it's good stuff. But
I tell a story sometimes only in English, so you're welcome to join even my Polish channel. I hope it will transform to English.
It's good for the algorithm, if nothing else. Oh, look, there's some people showing interest and stuff, and it boosts things. And I think we should support, and I think we should cross-pollinate our various social medias. I think the more voices that we have out there singing the same song, the better. And I take my hat off to you, Karolina, for being one of those voices. Thank you once again for your time. And I'll leave the absolute last words to you. Not at all.
It was a pleasure.
Cool. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, ciao.